Welcome to the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. I'm your host, Chris LeBrun, helping you achieve your goals in every area of life so you can dream big, plan smart, and live fully. You don't have a time problem. You have an energy problem. I want you to think about the last time you felt behind. I mean, really behind. Like, no matter how hard you tried, you just couldn't catch up. Now, let me ask you this. Were you actually short on hours, or were you running on empty? For most of us, it's the second one, but we keep solving for the first. Here's the thing about time. It's fixed. You only get 24 hours. I get 24 hours. The most productive person on the planet gets 24 hours. Nobody gets any more. Nobody gets any less. Time is the one resource that is completely non-negotiable. But energy? Energy is different. Energy is renewable. Energy is manageable. And energy is the real variable that determines what you actually get done in those 24 hours. I learned this the hard way recently, and my son has been in and out of the hospital for the last 5 months, really, fighting a stubborn infection that just won't quit. I've talked about it before, but when he's home, he's on IV antibiotics. And when he's not, he's back in a hospital bed. And as a dad or as a mom, as a parent, there's nothing that prepares you for watching your kid go through something like that. What I noticed pretty quickly was that my hours didn't change. I still had the same amount of time every day, but my capacity, my focus, my ability to show up for my work, for my family, my community, completely depleted. I was running on fumes, physically, mentally, and emotionally, and no amount of time management was going to fix that. That's when this principle hit me in a completely new way. Time is fixed. Energy is the asset. So what does that actually mean for how we live and work? It means that protecting your energy isn't a luxury. It's a strategy. It means that when you skip the workout, when you blow past your bedtime, when you skip meals or say yes to one more thing, when you have nothing left to give, you aren't being productive. You're spending from an account that is already overdrawn. Physical energy, mental energy, emotional energy, these are three distinct tanks, and they all need attention. You can be physically rested but emotionally wrecked and still feel completely useless. You can be emotionally solid but mentally fried and watch your focus just disappear. All three matter. All three need to be managed. Now, I'm not saying that you won't have hard sessions. Lord knows we're still in one right now. There will be times when the tanks get low. That's just life. But there's a difference between a hard season that depletes you and a lifestyle that never lets you refill. The most productive people I know are not the ones with the most hours in their day. They're the ones who are ruthlessly intentional about their energy. They sleep, they move, they protect their focus. They know when to push and when to pull back. They treat recovery not as a reward for finishing, but as a requirement for performing. So here's what I want to leave you with today. This week, instead of asking yourself, how do I find more time? Ask yourself, where is my energy going? And is that where I want it to go? Because when your energy is right, the time you already have becomes enough. Your energy is the asset, so protect it like one. One of my favorite bands is U2, and in the last couple of months, they have dropped 2 EPs around Lent, around Easter. It got me thinking, though, about songs and the good old days when artists wrote and released whole albums, not just singles or EPs. There's a whole process to writing an album. First they have to write a ton of songs. And I've heard of artists who write over 100 songs just for one album. But then only 10 to 15 songs are going to make it on the album. So a ton of them just never even make it past the writer's notebook or maybe a demo recording. Now, of the songs that make the album, probably only one or two of them are going to become hits or get played on the radio. You take Joshua Tree, for example, there's 11 songs on that album, but only 3 of them became hits. Where the Streets Have No Name, Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, and With or Without You. Okay, you may be able to count 3.5 if you include Bullet in the Blue Sky, which I don't know if that ever got a ton of radio play, but it was also on Rattle and Hum, and I think it got pretty big from concerts, and the live concert album, even without radio play. But anyways, I digress. So what about all those other songs on a record? I mean, they spent time writing them and practicing and recording them in the studio. Was all of that wasted time? Do these songs even matter? Let's do a little bit of a history lesson here, musical history lesson. These things that we call singles, they used to actually be single songs on a record. And you would put one on one side. This was the song that you're going to release to the radio station. But on the back, you could put another song, and they would call that the B-side tracks. It was the B-side of the record. Here's the thing. Some of those are still amazing songs. They just don't have that radio vibe. They're not that pop sort of thing that's going to make it click with the masses. I don't think there's a song on the Joshua Tree that I don't like. And honestly, probably the song that I've listened to or played the most on my own is Exit. I mean, just an amazing song. If you're not familiar with it, you got to check it out. Just a haunting song. It's beautiful. But here's the thing. Just because these songs aren't radio hits doesn't mean that they're not still great songs. And I think the same is true for our goals. There are these big picture things that move our goals forward, signing a big client or finishing the manuscript for our book. It's easy to see how these help us reach our goal. But then there's a lot of other stuff that we do that doesn't really have the same type of impact as those hits do, those things that really move the needle. But we still have to do them, the monthly accounting for your side business, answering email, or maybe sitting through another meeting that should have been an email. These things aren't necessarily moving the needle on your goals, but they have to be done nonetheless. I'm assuming when U2 goes into the studio to record the Joshua Tree, they know they're not going to release Exit or Red Hill Mining Town as singles. But they still have to record these songs and put them on the album. And that means they have to put just as much effort into writing and practicing and recording those songs as they do With or Without You. Because if they don't, no one's going to want to buy the album that's got a bunch of demos or low quality recordings on it. You may not want to spend time on the monthly accounting, but you can't run a successful company without doing it. No one will enjoy your hits if you can't fill out the album with the B-side projects. So remember this the next time you are dreading doing something because it doesn't move the needle on your goal. Maybe it's the thing that you dread doing, but you still have to do it. Embrace those B-side tasks and do them just like you would your primary tasks, the singles. Give them as much effort and energy as the main projects that move your goals forward, because they are important, even if they aren't critical to your goal. So that's it. That's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, for hanging out with me during this podcast. Make sure you check out the show notes at holisticproductivity.com/56. You can like, follow, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. That's how you get the new episodes every time they drop. You don't want to miss those. And if you enjoyed today's show, I'd love to see 5 stars on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube, wherever you consume the show. Love to see you give us a rating. That's the best way for people to find the show, and it just helps them to discover it, and that's huge. You can follow at Wholistic Productivity on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Substack, all of them there. Lots of extra productivity tips and motivation during the week. And I want to invite you to join the Wholistic Productivity community. It's absolutely free, and there are great resources and people from around the world who are just like you. They're trying to reach their goals. They're trying to stay accountable and motivated, and you can help them do that. They'd love to return the favor for you. And so check that out. Link is in the show notes as well. Well, that's it. Thanks again for listening. As always, my reason for doing the show is to help you dream big, plan smart, live fully. And I can't wait to see what that looks like. I can't wait to see how you reach your goals. So until next time, take care. We'll see you later.